The system is failing. We're going to have more homelessness, more unemployment, and the government has to print more money. It's a command and control economy where the government tells you everything. I just don't trust our government. And they're going to have to start printing pretty quickly. And the more they print, the less value, purchasing power the dollar has, or the loonie, or the yen, or the peso. People are talking about inflation. I think we're in depression right now, and we're going to be the biggest depression in world history.
In the 1970s, that's when the world was changing.
The biggest bust in the history of the world is coming up. It's pensions. They trusted the government. They trusted their pension would be there, and it's going to go bust. And that's us. We get crushed.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. As guys, we are still in the stage 2 of a 5-step plan to get Gary Gensler fired from his position as the head of the SEC. He does not deserve to regulate the multi-trillion-dollar crypto industry. And he has failed at the wheel. He fell asleep. And he does not deserve to gain any power over us when we have been asking for years, hey Gary, we just need some clarity. In the meantime, thousands have petitioned for congressional investigations of the alleged Gary Gensler and Sam Bankman-Fried connections. And this must happen. The conflicts of interest are evident. And I hope it brings him down. Now guys, before I continue, as I've been doing extreme due diligence over the past couple days, I have to state that in my OnlyFans down in the description below, part 2 of my 3-part exit strategy series is going to be posted at 12 a.m. Eastern time tonight. And the reason it has not been posted sooner is because of this FTX debacle. We need to prepare for all the changes that are coming into crypto. And in this part, I've taken those changes into account. I hope you all enjoy it. And at 12 a.m. Eastern time tonight, I'll also be hosting a Q&A with the OnlyFans and Discord community. That will be on Zoom. And I look forward to seeing all of you in there. Now guys, we have Tom Emmer, a Republican congressman, stating we're excited to be back in the majority. And Tom Emmer has personally stated there will be a new day for the crypto industry, and it will take it upon himself to investigate Gary and see what he has to hide. Gary Gensler is going to be in some big trouble, and we're all going to take this son of a bitch down. Here, we see from John Deaton, 6 months ago I predicted that by the end of the year Gensler would sue an exchange or two, like Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, etc. Only in Gary's world would you punish US companies who have practically begged to work with the SEC while speaking with the fraudster who donated money to the very people that got you elected. Gensler will announce a slew of US enforcement actions to appear tough on crypto and draw attention away from his cozy relationship with FTX. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, for the past 2 years, I've been stating that SEC is going after exchanges. They're going after other cryptos. It was not going to stop with Ripple and XRP. They're trying to demolish this industry. And that's why he has to get the hell out. He is directly responsible for the FTX debacle. And I cannot stress that enough. In addition, someone who's been even more negative on crypto than Gary Gensler has been Elizabeth Warren. She's known for being the anti-crypto senator who helped her draft her tax legislation in 2016. None other than Joe Bankman, the father of Sam Bankman-Fried. Oh, how these connections never end. And there are no coincidences. LBRY spoke up earlier today after a court ordered and decided that LBRY credits the token as a security Library stated congressmen that were elected via stolen funds given to them by a con man are going to try and pass a bill written by that same con man, using the con man's conning as justification. This is an absolute abomination to all of you. We all pay for these people to be in power, and they want to destroy us now that they have it. It is impossible to have too low of an opinion of the United States government. And this is pathetic. All of you should be upset and take into account who in powers try to screw you right now. This might be the most appalling part of it all. From Bloomberg Law, the ex-SEC chair, Jay Clayton, who brought a lawsuit against Ripple on his last day as chair of the SEC, is now among the advisors in the FTX bankruptcy. Oh, so this is what happens. So FTX is used to give money to these politicians, and now the people who had the conflicts of interest in the last administration for Ethereum are now defending the people that have a conflict of interest with FTX. I cannot make this shit up. And I do not want anything to happen to these people other than for them to stop being in charge as regulators for this industry. They have tainted it enough. Their inaction speaks volumes, while at the same time taking tremendous action to profit off of our losses. Ladies and gentlemen, take the names down and submit them to your favorite non-corrupted U.S. Congresspeople. A full investigation has to occur. A man has lost billions in consumer funds, and he's just casually dropping riddles on Twitter whilst eating pickles. I'm not even a victim of FTX, and I'm pissed off. The ones responsible for consumer protection have protected nobody but Sam Bankman-Fried. And to add on to that, Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, stated Twitter has broken every piece of this FTX story using blockchain analytics, while the New York Times wrote a puff piece on a criminal in Sam Bankman-Fried. The mainstream media is turning pro SBF and trying to water down what he did as if it's okay, probably because they received some of his money. I'm not getting political. The facts just so happen to be, and this should make everyone extremely upset. Not only that, someone that I actually looked up to as an investor stated exactly this scenario would happen with FTX. That was Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary knew exactly what was going to occur, except he did not know it was going to be FTX that went bust. But here, listen to what he had to say months ago about a company that's over-leveraged and how they would go bust.
I would like to see, and I don't want this to happen, but it always gives you a good bottom when you get a large player over-levered that goes to zero. And that always tends to be the beginning of the rebuilding process. So if you have to sacrifice someone who used too much leverage, and it's always leverage that does this. Somebody's over-levered, positions are complicated, they're not transparent, they're not liquid, and they go to zero. Someone is out there on the brink of zero. That's okay. In fact, I'd argue that's a good thing when we get it. Now, do we get it this week? Do we get it next week? Someone's going to zero. I don't know who, but it'll be great for everybody else that survives because everybody will learn from that. And that's what I like about a washout, an event. And I think we're due for one in crypto land. And I don't know who it's going to be, but I guarantee you 100%, I've seen this movie before, you will learn later that somebody put on a heavily levered position. They got wiped out.
And ladies and gentlemen, like clockwork, exactly what Kevin O'Leary stated was going to happen, happened. I just don't think he expected that it was going to happen to him, the company that he invested so much in, and the company who he was the spokesperson for. Oh, Kevin looks really bad right now. Sam Bankman-Fried had $3 million per day license to print money out of thin air at FTX, but all he had to do was not expose customer funds and deposits to directional bets and highly volatile assets. But that's exactly what he did. And that's why I'm so disappointed by this next quote Kevin O'Leary had to say.
If SBF knocked on your door again and said, look, I failed in my last venture. I have a new crypto venture. I need money. Would you back him?
That's a great question. No one's asked me yet. I think we can all admit, you can love him or hate him given what's happened, but he was one of the most brilliant traders in the crypto universe. He also built one of the most robust platforms. We used FTX actively. It was a very robust platform that allowed us to get information on a compliant basis. So I really like what he built.
Would you back him?
The answer would be yes.
Now, given all that's occurred and all the facts that are coming out, we understand that Sam Bankman-Fried is a fraud, and Kevin O'Leary stated he'd do business with him again. That, my friends, is suspect, and complete respect has been lost on my part. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the most delicate times in crypto history. FTX, their collapse is under congressional scrutiny and review, and Binance's role is under review as well. And while this looks bad at the moment, it could be the market bottom. Guys, you have to remember that in moments of extreme fear, like the COVID crash, amongst other things, that was when the bottom was in. I'm not saying more contagion can occur, but at bare minimum, you all need to know that this is a catalyst for regulation, and regulation is what will bring the trillions of dollars of institutional money into crypto. Congress is now forced to act, and they will. Compliant coins will go to the moon. The scams will go away, along with 99% of crypto, and it'll be the best filter to see who's really out here building revolutionary technologies and who's just talking a big game. SBF blew up. Jim Cramer stated to exit all crypto markets. 100K Bitcoin traded on Coinbase in a single day. A Tether pool did $3 billion in volume last week. CZ is publicly mass bidding. People are saying this time is different, and it's unironically over, and you're still bearish. Me, I've been bullish on this market for a long time, and the only thing that's come to fruition is exactly what I stated was going to happen all this time. I've stated for years to get your money off the exchanges into your hardware wallets. Have you learned your lessons? And are you still keeping your money on exchanges? If you are, you deserve to lose it, and it's your fault. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you regulations were coming. I told you exchanges will collapse. I told you about all of this before it happened. An ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure. And there is no cure that these FTX investors and people that left money on that exchange could possibly have. You're welcome in advance. And now I hope at the very least you know what's possible. Crypto.com is under threat. Gemini is under threat. The contagion is spreading. While in the meantime, this case with Ripple and XRP is ending, and Ripple's swell conference is occurring. We're going to get into that and everything else that is breaking from Ripple's swell. But in this video, I'm going to leave you with the complete FTX scenario that's going on right now, the facts that are still being uncovered. And the only mainstream media outlet that's covering it is Fox. Of course, there are political reasons for why. But at the very least, I just want you guys to see how bad and how deep this rabbit hole goes, as we have to understand that these politicians' pockets have been lined with stolen FTX funds. Watch this 7-minute clip and tell me you don't see the writing on the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
Democratic Party finds itself in the middle of the biggest financial fraud case in U.S. history. A cryptocurrency company, like the Bitcoin things, just lost $2 billion of its customers' money. They didn't just lose it in the market, it's just gone. Someone stole it. And the company called FTX just went bankrupt after they blew up $32 billion.
The crypto market in chaos after the collapse of the FTX exchange, with a new set of questions on where billions and billions of dollars went.
A criminal investigation of its founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, has been opened in the Bahamas.
This is being called the worst disaster in the history of crypto.
This is bigger than Bernie Madoff, but unlike Bernie Madoff, who was getting rich off a Ponzi scheme, the Democratic Party was getting rich off of FTX. Now, FTX came onto the scene in 2019, and it spent $10 million to put Joe Biden in the White House in 2020. And the guy running FTX, the second biggest Democrat donor in the midterms, after Soros, of course, spent $40 million to get Democrats elected. Wonder why someone like John Fetterman was able to raise as much as 4 times as much cash as Oz? Well, you can thank Sam Bankman-Fried, who ran this crypto scheme out of a penthouse in the Bahamas.
Hi, my name is Sam, and this is my story.
Sam has crazy hair. Sam is vegan. Sam sleeps 5 hours a night. Sam lives in the Bahamas with 10 roommates. Sam is 29 years old only, but Sam has $22 billion. And he wants to donate all of it to charity.
And the charity was the Democratic Party. Look at Sam right there behind George Soros. Soros paid for a crime wave, and Sam may have committed a crime to stop a red wave. The guy was throwing so much money around, it got the owner a seat right next to Clinton. And he got an invite to Bill's after party with celebrities like Katy Perry, of course. Clinton's really got an eye for mega donors. First Epstein, Sam Bankman-Fried, who they call SPF. If you spend enough money on Democrats, they don't care how you got the money as long as it gets to them. All the celebrities were jumping in too. Larry David was doing commercials for the guy. Tom Brady and Giselle were ambassadors. The John Fetterman of cryptocurrency, SPF, was just at the White House, actually. He got 2 closed-doors meetings with Biden's senior advisor in the spring, right around the time Biden was shipping billions to Ukraine. The funny thing is, Ukraine was an investor in FTX. You may be asking, why is a country in the middle of a war investing in crypto? Shouldn't they be buying weapons? Or, if they have to invest in anything, doesn't crypto sound a little risky for Zelensky? You wouldn't want an investment with a solid rate of return and years of stable growth? No. Zelensky thought he'd give it to a guy living in a tax haven, fresh out of college with funny hair. Well, when Democrats are sending you billions of dollars of weaponry, the least you could do is reward their favorite mega donor. And what did FTX do with the money Ukraine invested? Well, they plowed it right back into the Democratic Party. Democrats send money to Ukraine. Ukraine sends money to FTX, and FTX sends money to the Democrats' campaigns. Now, I don't know if this is war profiteering or money laundering. I don't even know, but it needs to be investigated. And we don't really know who's getting what because SPF, the crypto kid, who looks like a mini Madoff, likes his money in the dark.
So, in the end, I want to do what's right for the country.
You think every money you spend in politics should be disclosed publicly? Are you comfortable with that?
If there was a norm where every dollar that everyone donated in politics was to be disclosed publicly, I would have a lot of sympathy for that. I think I might support it. I haven't thought carefully about it enough to know. But
well, it sounds like what you're saying is maybe there's some donations that you have made that you wouldn't make if you knew they were going to be immediately public.
So I think I don't generally think about it that way.
Look, can you believe Chuck Todd? First they fall for Avenatti, and then they fall for this guy. Was it even his money to begin with? It looks like it was investor money he was spending on Democrats. The Wall Street Journal reports FTX was cracking into customers' accounts and using their funds for other stuff. And then when customers wanted to withdraw their money, a lot of it was gone. The Justice Department and the SEC have launched an investigation because this looks like the mega donor also lied to Congress.
We have a transparent system where all of our data all of our public market data is openly available and free, where risk parameters are transparent.
No, so transparent. Did he think he was too big to fail because he had regulators in his pocket? Probably. I mean, you're bulletproof when you can buy politicians. And this guy was planning on buying Biden with $1 billion.
I imagine you have some probability distribution in your mind of how much money you might give in the next election cycle. Like, give me some number.
I would guess north of 100 million.
So if that's a floor, what's the ceiling? Like $1 billion? Might you give $1 billion?
Yeah, I think that's a decent, thing to look at.
So the Democrats' second biggest donor just blew up right after he helped Democrats keep the Senate. Oops, that's a shame. Perfect timing for Chuck Schumer, though. But this was a family affair. The crypto fraudster's brother has a job in Congress, of course. He works on the Financial Services Committee, and he works for a Democrat. So the guy in charge of oversight is staffed by family members of Minnie Madoff. Whatever happened to the $32 billion anyway? I wonder if there was any red flags. Oh, here's one. The person running cash flow at FTX isn't good at math.
Use very little math. Use a lot of elementary school math.
So I see those abstract math classes are not required.
You never have all the information, so you kind of just have to make your best guess based on what you can see. We tend not to have things like stop losses. I think those aren't necessarily a great risk management tool. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good example of a trade where I've lost a ton of money. Well, I don't know. I probably don't want to go into specifics too much with that.
You had executives bragging they don't do risk management. And that, by the way, that was Minnie Madoff's girlfriend. She was living in a penthouse in one of the world's famous tax havens with him in the Bahamas. There were 10 kids working in this office, and they were all sleeping with each other. It was a polyamorous penthouse. It's what you call a pump and dump scheme. And no one noticed a thing until a week after the Democrats kept the Senate.